Okay, how about Jennifer, since we're talking about kind of feminist, we have a female. What do you think about the theory that feminism is really the domain of the Caucasian female, the white woman, and that the enemy of feminism is only the white man? You know, his not letting us vote, paying us less for the same job, white man, because there seems to be a lack of ire or anger for, it's like the black man can be misogynist and have his rap songs. The brown man can beat his wife and live in this weird, oppressive, you know, sort of barefoot and pregnant world that some Mexican women are stuck in. Or it seems like ethnicity or brown, you know, when we talk about the clits getting cut off, that usually is done by the mother or the grandmothers. But the women in the family do that to the girls. So none of that seems appropriate to fight for a feminist. They don't see the female angle to these issues because I think they're all they're third world people. It's not the same type of woman that needs defending. What do you think about that?
I think it's very sad and very obvious that there's a cultural divide within the history of feminism. You know, in early, say, 1950s, 1960s America, white women, privileged white women, were fighting for the right to work, all the time ignoring the fact that women of color had to work, have always worked, have always been working mothers.
Amen.
You know, that being said, the women of color that I've talked about this with have said, you know, they thought these white women had it wrong, had it backwards, because all the time they're agitating to be able to go out and go to work. The women who had to work, who were stuck in low-paying, no-respect, dead-end jobs, all they wanted to do was just be able to stay home and raise their kids themselves. And I think there has started to be a meeting of the minds and a meeting in the middle on these things, but it's not nearly where it should be.
So there is some merit to that argument, because this argument came to me from I was listening to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who wrote Infidel and Nomad, and she was, you know, raised in a very strict Islamic Muslim culture, and her grandmother did the thing to her at 5 years old and stole her chance at feeling like a natural human. And she was married off to her cousin, but instead of doing that, she went to Holland and got into the parliament and learned all this stuff, and now she's an advocate against Islam and blah, blah, blah. And one of her complaints is that she's saying, we need the help of the feminists. Where are you? Like, these women are walking around in black bags, and yet the Western feminists, who hold a considerable amount of power, are confused at the issue. She said they're trapped. They're you know, these women are helpless, and they're in America, and there's 1,150 mosques, and more coming all the time. And she's saying we need feminists. Like, ladies, our voices have a separate type of power that these Muslim women need. And so that's where I got the idea from, her.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be more dialogue. It's just a sad fact that women are complicit in their own oppression. Women of all different cultures. You know, privileged white women buy into this idea that they have to be some anorexic professional beauty, and they have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a lifetime to just be acceptable. And that's a type of mental enslavement. And that, I think, saps the energy that could better be spent, like, reaching out across cultures and across different socioeconomic strata to go, hey, what's your story? What do we have in common? How can we make this better for all of us? What needs to be done here? How can I help you?
Yes. And I think why we pause is what slowly snuck up on us over the last few hundred years, you know, with the addition of God on the money in the 50s and God in the Pledge of Allegiance in the 50s, and they slowly sneak up on us, coming from some very vicious writings from like Jefferson and Adams about no religion ever, wall of separation, and it was known and obvious, no. But slowly, it's been getting to the point where now, if somebody presents to you an educated, intelligent, modern person, the idea of, Muhammad, and he married a 6-year-old girl, but didn't start having sex with her till 9, because to honor her as his wife and all that, and then God made man from dirt and the woman from his rib, and things like this. There's something about being nice to these people that's developed in our culture that we have to, okay, yes, I'd hate to offend you, even though that shit is fucking nuts. Even though it has no place while we are sequencing our own DNA as we speak, this stuff has no place anymore, and yet we have to treat it with, well, the women are covered up, the burqa is a tradition from, the Quran, where have we, what? These, in the end, are fantasies, in the end. You can't start that this stuff was actually real. There's no science behind there was a Muhammad or a Jesus. How have we gotten to the place where these things are kind of halfway real, and you better treat them like they're halfway real, or you're being disrespectful and you're hurting people's feelings?
Well, think about when most people come in contact with a religion for the first time. It is where they're there, and everybody else that's there is already all the way in it. So it already starts as being all the way real to these people, so I better just jump on board. And some people...
When you're raised in a culture of this, and this is your only version of reality, it's extraordinarily hard to break out of that mindset when you've been inculcated in it from birth. And, what if you're culturally or geographically isolated? It's incredibly painful to even ask questions, much less break away, much less work against it. You're punished for it. And as women who are already sort of economically disadvantaged, your very survival is at stake.
Very true.
The mentality that happens in these cultures. It's why this week, Ayaan Hirsi was talking about, needing the feminists, is that what has happened is that there's such a culture of abuse for women that their worth is completely tied up in their vagina and in their virginity. That's all that matters about them. If that's lost, you're nothing. She said her grandmother would call it like, if you lost your virginity, you were like sheep's fat on the road covered with ants. And I was like, that shocked me, that imagery of what a grandmother would tell a young girl what she would be if anybody got at that sweet little pussy.
Sheep fat on the road in the sun covered with ants?
That's what and she says that's why the men give themselves the permission to tell themselves, uh-oh, you slipped, I saw part of your cheek, I saw an ankle, to then rape that girl. You have every right. She was not following the rules of chastity and of morality, and so you can treat her differently. So anyway, what she says happens is, it's so scary, it's so terroristic for the women that they become the ones to tell on the other girls. That in a survival mode, you've got to direct these animals away from you whenever you can. I totally understand that.
Oh, yeah.
And if somebody's going, so ladies, is everybody following the rules? And some guy's like got a belt in his hand, right? Slapping it against his palm. So ladies, anybody breaking the rules? You'd go, yeah, Susie did. Susie, I saw her talk to a boy today. And boom, all the lions go off to that one girl, and all the rest are safe for another day. I mean, how awful that is. And that's why she's saying, where are the feminists? Where are the ladies that have the abortion signs and the fair pay signs? It's like she's saying you're needed now. it's these women are caught in this horrible cannibalistic, crab-like, lizard-like society. They can't. They're just gone. Their humanity is gone. They're actually turning each other in to keep themselves safe.
No, that's sick. Oh, that's sick.
Sit in their own enslavement. It's very much the same mentality as sexual abuse survivors. And when you think about it, in a way, they kind of are, because they're raised in this culture, and even I was to a certain extent, that your vagina doesn't even belong to you. What you were saying before about how your only value is tied up in your pussy doesn't even belong to you. You're just holding it for whatever man.
Oh, God, it's ugly.
Oh, preach on that. Preach on women believing that their value is in the specialness of their, I don't know, cooch, for lack of a better word.
The kitty cat.
The kitty cat.
It's this idea that it doesn't even belong to you, and you're not even safe in your own body. And the feeling of my survival is at stake is very real. And especially when you have your grandmother and your mother and your aunt and your sisters and your cousins all reinforcing it, what are you supposed to believe if you're a little girl or if you're a young woman and if you got nowhere to go? Yeah, I too want to know. God damn it, where are you, feminists? I want to know. I am one. I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just recently took up the cause, so I'm still tiptoeing around, going, is this like, Jennifer, is this real? Like, is this a good point to start talking about as a dude? Because it's it's not our topics, feminist topics, but it made sense when I heard her talk about it, that the feminist movement is really the white woman power movement against the white man. But anything ethnic the ethnicity, what she's saying is the ethnicity and the religiosity of issues override the fact that these are women's issues. These are problems. These people are talking about virginity in the vagina. Ladies, that's us.
Yeah, where are you?
They're fucking around. That's our shit. They go, no, that's a Muslim thing, or no, that's an African thing. That's a cultural thing.
It's a woman on the planet thing.
There's a fear of colonialism. There's this fear that we're trespassing on somebody else's stuff when, we're all holding the vagina. It is all of our stuff.
Yeah, she's saying these are women's issues, not religious issues. These aren't problems of culture.
But really, those really are human issues. We all came out of the vagina. It's a human issue.